Imagine this. Devilman is sucked back in time to Vienna, Austria in 1913. His purpose? To hunt and kill a demon who threatens to alter history. In the form of Akira, and with the demon hound nose of his best friend Ryo, they tail a man who has possibly been in contact with a demon. They come to an art studio where the man being tailed introduces himself and then the artist at work, as Adolf. The tailed man assumes Akira and Ryo must be customers and tries to sell Adolf's painting, to which Adolf replies, "We don't even know if they're customers." And that, well, just read this, I sure don't want to. After Ryo and Akira leave, the older man remarks about how Adolf screwed up their chance to sell his painting to those suckers. Then, over the course of a chapter of manga, Adolf's Jewish business associate, a man with the appearance of a Joseph Goebbels approved caricature, repeatedly tries to force young Adolf into selling a painting with sentimental value. The customer? Another Jewish man whose character design also gets the Joseph Goebbels seal of approval. Adolf's associate argues in favor of all the money they can make. When Adolf attempts to refund someone who paid too much, his associate criticizes him. Upon returning to the customer, Adolf sees his crush being forced upon by this Jewish man. As he intervenes, the man burns the woman alive. Devilman steps in moments later, slaying the man who now turns out to be a demon. The story doesn't end here. Adolf, infuriated, returns to his business associate, vowing to destroy every Jewish person. As he walks away, a series of panels suggesting he ages a couple of decades and grows a mustache in a matter of steps leads into the reveal of his full name. The businessman shouts, "Where are you going, Adolf?" Adolf Hitler. Well, imagine no more, for all this takes place in a real-life manga. Yes, it's the return of Devilman after a roughly 6-year hiatus, in the form of a manga by the title of Shin Devilman, and yes, Adolf Hitler is made into a sympathetic character, while sharing panels with two incredibly anti-Semitic caricatures who are 100% the villains of the manga. That, I repeat once more, Adolf Hitler is not the villain of, and is made out to be at times a sympathetic figure. Let that set up and sink in as we dive back into the Devilman franchise to find out what Devilman is best Devilman. Part 2. They made Hitler sympathetic. Yes, it's been 6 years since Devilman was last seen, and his return is an unimpressive one. A throwaway cooperation with Go Nagai's illustrations, and in part his brother Yasutaka's words. A man who was nominated for the Edogawa Rampo Literary Award in 1969, an honor bestowed to a single winner of a mystery novel competition held by Kadokawa Publishing in honor of the titular Edogawa Rampo, one of the most influential Japanese writers of the early 1900s, with Chapter 1 of Devilman's Return being written in collaboration with Masaki Tsuji, who took lead writing duties on the 1972 anime. Then chapters 2 and 3 being handled by Yasutaka, and the final two portions mostly done up by Go Nagai. And this is the result. A manga in which not only Adolf Hitler is made a sympathetic character, but golly gee, imagine how they handle the story of infamous General Custer and Native American characters. Well, it relegates the female Cheyenne character of Tiana to a girl who befriends Akira and Ryo and then is raped and murdered for the sake of a revenge motivation. It's as gratuitous as you would expect. Tiana is sprawled out over a large panel, legs spread, boobs out, arms pinned to the ground with knives, and a look of extreme anguish on her face. Honestly, this is the takeaway from Shin Devilman. At its worst, it's making Hitler sympathetic, and having a Jewish cast made up of entirely vile stereotypes. At its best, it's a throwaway time-traveling excuse to draw Akira and Ryo next to historical figures like Jeanne d'Arc. Even in the 3 of 5 chapters that are not courting tons of bullshit, it's a formulaic blow-through of exposition for the first 2/3, Devilman kills aesthetically boring demons with ease, and then a hasty wrap-up, which does provide for a good laugh in the Jeanne d'Arc chapter. Devilman saves the French leader from being burned at the stake as a result of a corrupt trial ran by demons. Then panels later, historical fact is acknowledged, stating Jeanne d'Arc was burned at the stake as per the results of an accusation of being a witch sometime afterwards. What an unintentional admittance of Shin Devilman's inconsequential nature. Well, it's a retconned in filler arc. It also contradicts Devilman's narrative of demons supposedly only becoming active in recent years. You could say, well, the demons discovered time travel, but that still doesn't explain the inconsequential nature of everything that happens, or so easily could be explained as never happening. And yes, I know that this in part wraps into the grander Devilman universe that is expanded out in some later manga that we will be talking about in future parts, but that's not really any valid excuse here. Now imagine this. Imagine you craft one of the most influential creations in your field of passion. Then not even a decade later, despite launching several other successful franchises, you're returning to your roots in such a way that makes it feel like you don't even understand the value of your original creation, what made people care and tout your work as revolutionary. This is what I talked about in part 1. Go Nagai kicked open the door with his unabashed disconcert for what others think. He isn't a great manga author for it, but he sure is influential. But with Shin Devilman, this is the first of many instances in which the franchise suffers for Nagai's involvement. Let's just take a look at the final page of chapter 1 again. We begin with a couple panels that, in a truly Go Nagai way, try to explain the origins of a great evil, that being Adolf Hitler, who, as I remind you once more, is made sympathetic. Yes, Adolf Hitler. Made sympathetic. I'm still on this issue. It is very confusing to me. So for shits and giggles, I guess, Nagai and Tsuji suggest this alternate history of why Hitler came to be the most infamous human ever, and it's because of some bad experience with Jewish people. Those bad experiences ranging from the specifically anti-Semitic stereotype of Jewish people being greedy to more general racial fear-mongering about those that are different from an established Christian status quo, that they will rape and murder women because they're demons in disguise, that they are coming to take from the white man. I sincerely doubt Go Nagai or anyone involved with this manga believes the Holocaust was just, or that the stereotypes aren't exactly what they are. Reductive beliefs from highly limited viewpoints that are founded distinctly from the fear of those that are different. But when you write a story where the entirety of those being stereotyped are those very stereotypes, there is an agreement, intentional or not. Then we come to the weird structuring I mentioned earlier. 6 panels that read like some sort of midlife progeria where Hitler goes from early 30s to 50 and touting his infamous mustache. But because of these 2 panels that bookend the sequence, it reads in such an awkward fashion. If the 6th panel came second, it could reasonably be read as each panel taking place over a stretch of time. Instead, we get this fundamentally poor structure, punctuated by some laughably silly reveal, as if people didn't figure out the artist's true identity immediately. My, this is such a twist. I didn't see that one coming. Thankfully, Devilman is taken into the hands of other creatives. Looking towards the bright future, we have to skip over the novels written by Yasutaka Nagai, going from the end of the Shin Devilman manga in 1981 to the year of 1987. By this point, Devilman had truly earned the title of franchise. With multiple manga, an anime, and a series of novels, the last decade had proven to be a successful one. Nagai, the ever-creating man that he is, continued work elsewhere while others helped shoulder Devilman's future. In 1987, this came to fruition with a return to animation, handed off to first-time director Ida Umanosuke, whose body of work prior is rather short but impressive, given his responsibility as an in-between animator on the 1984 Studio Ghibli classic Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Presumably, Umanosuke was brought on for his visual direction as Nagai worked in close conjunction, particularly on the narrative end. And it shows. The OVA entitled Devilman the Birth sticks closely to the story of the original manga's first chapter, but is also a visual treat, which is not only due to Umanosuke, but the key animator Yoshinori Kaneda, whose career can be best summarized as a Studio Ghibli mainstay of the 80s and a major reason for arguably the most influential anime film of all time looking as fantastic as it does. In addition, animation direction and character design fell upon another another Nausicaa veteran and a longtime co-worker of Nagai's, working on things like the Mazinger anime adaptation and the original Devilman anime. His name, Kazuo Komosubara. So a veritable all-star team to lead the visuals means the two-part OVA series cannot be oversold on how darn stunning it is. Out of the gate, what the series of OVA is becomes apparent. It too starts off with a prehistoric world where demons attack angels. As is with the original manga, it's a visual high point, with detailed and fluid designs and explosions that look like someone who went on to draw the iconic opening of Akira worked on these explosions too. The angel designs are toned down, still naked, but their faces resemble humans far less. As a result, they serve for an artistic sense rather than a weird Go Nagai sense. Both the Birth and Demon Bird remain loyal to what Nagai wrote over a decade prior, but do so in a cleaned up fashion, as if a good editor came in and cut much of the mess out, distilling scenes down to their core tenets. Or adding bits like the introduction of Akira, where he adamantly defends a rabbit from some Yankee punks. Despite his physical stature or lack thereof, he has his convictions, which also smartly plants the seed for when these same Yankee join Akira later on. In this moment, their leader respects Akira's guts. He's standing up to 3 tough guys willing to cause great physical harm, all in hopes of protecting something dear to him. Completely unlike how they come to respect Akira in the manga when he saves them from a demon during an encounter they probably shouldn't remember. Another example is when Ryo is explaining what happened to his family in South America, or the origins of demons. The constant use of good animation, art design, and shot composition means this information dump turns into something the viewer has better reason to engage with. So much of the background work in the original manga is just blank panels. Here, it's a 1980s cityscape, or dark, foreboding shadows in a weird, old mansion. Yes, Ryo still has his secret basement where a bunch of drug-using party animals, dance? Maybe have some, oh gosh, unprotected sex? This scene is as weirdly puritanical as it is in the original manga. They also politely turn the music down and stop dancing while Ryo tells Akira about what must be done. At the very least, the color scheming with its sharp contrast really sells the atmosphere, especially when the action gets going. The OVA series is a testament to what good craftsmanship can do for a compelling core conceit wrapped in the efforts of someone who isn't a master of their medium. Each installment generally covers the same plot points of a single volume of the manga, but in a roughly 50-minute format. Meanwhile, the volumes could be read in 10 to 15 minutes, which makes sense given a reader may not linger on a single panel in the same way a camera shot may in an anime. This is just such a great adaptation, even by purist standards. It doesn't stray all that far, but wonderfully takes advantage of what it means to go from still drawings with ample dialogue to using the impressive techniques available to some of the most talented anime creators of their time. I mean, they give Miki more personality than the entirety of the manga just with a brief 15 seconds in the opening of Demon Bird. Speaking of which, the ordering of demons is skewed a bit in this instance, by having Jinmen come before Serene. But hey, his reveal captures the horror of his design so well. That cackling laugh and the moans of those trapped within Jinmen's shell is some stellar audio design. Part 2 culminates with the iconic battle with the Demon Bird Serene, which is given the attention it deserves, being displayed as a massive dragged out fight to the death. But before that, please enjoy this gay scene between Akira and Ryo.
Ryo! Yo! Genki sou janai.
This praise of loyal adaptation doesn't come without the caveat that yeah, this is still Devilman and sexualization of the female cast is very much a thing. When Serene and her underlings attack the Makimura household, Miki is a naked, unconscious girl in need of saving by the muscular male hero. There are constant cuts to her nude, and blood is spilled across her chest. The episode concludes in what is probably the best fight scene we'll talk about in this entire series, a long struggle where the participants tear each other to shreds with ample viscera. It's a roughly 15-minute brawl with everything you expect from the team of highly talented animators. Soaring through the city, village-destroying explosions, and weighty fight choreography fitting of two big old demons going at it. The iconic finale of Serene nearly killing Devilman and the catharsis that comes after a battle between two incredibly strong opponents is well earned, leaving the viewer with doubt as to Devilman's ability to win the war against demons. Ultimately, the OVA series can leave you feeling disappointed. Not that it isn't a fitting adaptation and great on its own merits, but that it never sees things through to the end. This series is an unfinished work, with a little over 2-year gap between each episode, then a wait which will never end. Some may argue the 2000 OVA Amon the Apocalypse of Devilman serves as some sort of continuation, but I don't agree. It's a different staff with different source material, as it takes from the manga entitled Amon the Dark Side of Devilman, which is a reimagining of the later chapters from the original manga. Sadly, we'll never see any proper conclusion, not only because the medium of anime has changed so much in the years since, but director Ida Umanosuke passed away in November of 2010. And so we come to the end of the 1980s and the return of Go Nagai in 1997 with what purports to be a massive shakeup. Not just full-blown reimagining of Devilman with modern art, more adult content, and a new protagonist, but also the weaving of the Devilman universe. We'll get to that next time though in part 3 of What Devilman is Best Devilman, a project whose creator has come to realize that this is turning out to be a whole lot more work than he initially expected and is suffering for it. But hey, at least he didn't try to make Hitler sympathetic. Please consider donating to my Patreon. It's the best way to ensure that these videos, which take me a very long time, keep on coming. There's probably going to be a little bit of a break until the next Devilman video. I'm going to be working on some end of the year stuff until I get back to it. But who knows, maybe if you throw me some money on Patreon, it'll come quicker. And then you too can appear in the credits just like these fine folks listed here.